This is another video brought to you by flipwebsites.com, and this one is step 2 of the due diligence process of buying websites, researching history of a website. In step 1 of the buyer due diligence series, I talked about checking the ownership of a website and checking out just doing a cursory search of a domain. If everything checks out in step 1, then you're good to go to proceed to step 2, which are the various checks that we're going to go over in this video. So let's get started. The first thing is, how old is the domain? And the reason we want to know that is because age domains do better for SEO purposes than, newer domains. And the reason for that is because the search engines deem age domains as being trustworthy. They've kind of proven themselves. And if you think of the logic, it makes sense. If one domain's been, assuming all things being equal, if one domain's been around for 5 years and one has only been around for 6 months, the search engines likely are going to favor the 5-year-old domain just because it's been around longer, it's kind of proven itself, but also it's probably has a lot more backlinks because it's been around for so long than a website that's only been around for 6 months to a year. So we want to know how old the domain is because the older it is, the better it's going to be for me as a buyer and the more valuable the domain and the website will be. So to check the age, we're going to do a Whois search again using my favorite tool, Domain Tools. And again, taking a look at the tool here, you can get there by going to domaintools.com or whois.domaintools.com. And I'm going to continue using the same website that I used in the first series of videos outlining step 1 of the due diligence process. Again, this is a website that's currently on sale for Flippa at the time of this recording. So I'm going to go ahead and paste that in there, and that's southfloridacommercialproperties.com. And we'll just go ahead and do a quick look up here. And we'll look at the Whois record. And if we go right down in here, this tells us when the domain was registered, January 12th, 2008. So it's just a little over 2 years old. So that's pretty decent. The next thing I'm looking at, as long as I'm here at the Whois record, is the number of transfers there have been. And what I'm looking for here is the registrar history, and that's right up in here. And this one has only been with one registrar, which is good. If I saw 5 registrars, that might raise a flag, particularly given the site's only, a little over 2 years old. Because what that means is the more registrars there are, the more this domain's been transferred around. So if I saw 5 registrars there in a 2-year period, I'd be asking myself, why is this website being moved around so much? Has it been bought and sold so many times? And if so, why? So I would just make a note of it. Nothing to be concerned about necessarily, but I'd make a note about it, maybe do a little bit more digging, and certainly just talk to the seller about it to ask them, why has this domain been transferred around so much? And they might be able to give you some insight. The other thing I'm looking at while I'm here is the IP, because I want to know if the current server that this website is on is a dedicated or shared server. And I'll explain that in just a minute. If I look right here, it says it's dedicated hosting. It's on a dedicated server. So that means that this website is on a server by itself, or at least likely is on a server by itself, versus a shared server, which is what most people use because it's the more affordable option. A shared server is where there are literally hundreds of domains owned by several different owners. That are all using the same server. Now, the reason dedicated servers are better, just in terms of a buyer's perspective, is because if a website is hosted on a shared server, there is a small risk that some of the other websites being hosted on that server can ruin things for the website I'm looking to buy in terms of the search engine banning that IP from their search engine. And now I'll explain that in just a second here. This is a dedicated server, so I'm not too worried about it. But to dig into this whole dedicated server versus shared server stuff, I'm going to go over to a site called yougetsignal.com. And I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to enter the URL, and I'm going to do a check here. and I'm doing a reverse IP domain check. And it says it found 2 domains. And if you look right here and here, you can see that it's just the same website, one with the www and one without. And this is what I would expect to see on a dedicated server. Now this is good because that means there's no other websites on that server. Now let me plug in a domain that I own. It's one of my test domains, and it's on a shared server at HostGator, and let's see what we find. Over 1,100 domains are hosted on this shared server account at HostGator. And anything in red is a potential problem website. And if you look, they're all porn sites, basically. And that, again, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's issues. It just means that again, as a domain owner, if these websites get banned, if they do something spammy or they do something that the search engines don't like, the search engines might ban the IP address. Well, unfortunately, when you're dealing with shared servers, all these websites are tied to the same IP address, as you can see up here. And so if this site here, this adultgallerylist.net, let's say they were doing something wrong, they were spamming, and the search engine banned it, they would ban this IP. Well, all these websites could potentially be affected in terms of being able to rank in that search engine because of that ban. So I just look more because I'm just curious what's going on in terms of other websites on the server of the website I'm buying. Because if I was looking to buy a website, and let's just say I saw a bunch of red websites, okay, a bunch of them, I might be a little concerned, and that to me would just mean I better make extra due diligence efforts to make sure that this website that I'm looking to buy hasn't been banned. Which leads us to the next check, which is, has the website been banned from the search engines? And the way we do that is we go over to Google, and you only have to do this on Google because if you find issues on Google, chances are there's going to be issues with Yahoo and Bing. And also, the bulk of your traffic likely is going to come from Google anyway. So we're more concerned about Google than we are Bing and Yahoo. And the problem with banned sites is that if the website is banned, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to get a website re-indexed and to get it to rank well in the search engines. So if you find a website, if you're looking to buy a website and you discover it's banned or has been banned, I would stay away from it. It's just not worth the headache. So what you do is you just go to Google, and I'm going to plug in our URL again, and we're going to do a search for both the non-WW version and the WW version. And so let's just do a search. And as you can see here, he's probably got a redirect going to the WW version, but as you can see here, his website's listed here and it's listed here. And let's do the WWW version, which we've just shown you it's there, but let's just do it anyway. And of course, there it is as well. So what that means is the fact that something gets returned, that this website gets returned, tells me, one, it's been indexed, and therefore it's not banned. So I can pretty much stop my search there. But if I want, I can also check to see, while I'm here doing the search, I can check to see how many pages of the website have been indexed. And so I'll do site, colon, and then the website, and we'll do a search. And it shows me the different pages. There's 1 of 10 of about 119 pages indexed in Google. So certainly this is not a website that has been banned. What would happen is if I did this search here, if this was a banned website, if I did this, it would return no results. It would say no results, nothing found. And if I did the site, search again, there would be nothing returned. And then that would be a major red flag, particularly for a 2-year-old site, because that would tell me it's not indexed, which would lead me to believe there's some issues and that it might be banned. Now, in the next video, we will continue with part 2 of step 2 of the due diligence process of researching history of a website.